The Purdue-Fort Wayne men's volleyball team completed their 3-match homestand this week with a 2-1 record. The Dons dispatched of Ohio State in 3 quick sets, controlling play from the opening whistle. The next match against McKendree was very different, as Purdue-Fort Wayne needed 5 sets to grab the win and start conference play undefeated. Finally, the week came to an end with a non-conference clash against George Mason. Unfortunately, we struggled to get our offense going in this match, losing to the Patriots in 3. We take the quick trip up to Chicago this weekend, matching up against MIVA competition Loyola on Friday and Lewis on Saturday. Join us to hear about all of that and more with head coach Ryan Rock-Perot and senior outside hitter Austin Neese on this week's edition of VolleyDons Weekly. Welcome everybody to VolleyDons Weekly. I am your host, JW Kiekefer, and with me, as always in the first segment, we have head coach Ryan Rock-Perot. Coach Rock, how has your week been so far?
I don't know. We're only 3 days in. Ask me later.
Okay.
3 days?
Are we going to get more time to ask you in the TV show later? Or?
Spent a lot of time waiting for people to come to my house and fix things.
That's all you did yesterday.
That's correct.
Maybe they should stop, having bad things happen to your house.
Yeah. That's true, and I'm tired of fixing things. I got to fix a lot
of
things.
But let's be honest, you didn't fix it. You had to call somebody to fix it.
I'm not, as my mother says to me all the time, I'm not mechanically inclined, and I am not.
Mechanically inclined.
I'm not.
Although plumbing, you probably shouldn't do yourself. That's probably something that you should hire people for.
Well, you have to keep your pipes clean.
Okay, great. Cool, that's great. That's a good point. For everybody out there, just remember you have to keep your pipes clean. Everybody remember that. That's a good rule to live by.
Plumbing. I mean, the sewage all backed in, so my pipes aren't clean. They had to come in.
Okay, well, I'm glad they fixed that for you yesterday, and we have a great day today. Our car worked. We got into the office okay with all the ice. We ice skated into the office today on Tuesday morning.
Actually, I did ice skate into the office today.
I almost fell with coffee in my hand this morning.
It was like being back in primary school back in Canada. It was great.
Well, 3 matches this week.
Yes, let's get to it.
Lots of volleyball, lots of volleyball to talk about. We taped last show Tuesday morning before we played Ohio State that Tuesday night, so we can talk a little bit about that match right now. And fortunately, a 3-0 win against the Buckeyes. The first win since 2014, back in the good old days when JW Kiekefer was playing libero for the IPFW Mastodons back then. Great 3-set win against Ohio State, 34-32, 25-17, 25-23. Barn burner in that first set, 34-32. Talk a little bit about that match.
Well, the first set was actually ugly volleyball. It's the first time we've ever beaten Ohio State since I became the head coach. And what's so interesting about that first set, it looked like both teams were tired. And we had just traveled back from Boston on Sunday, and then we played on a Tuesday. I don't know where Ohio State was, but both teams looked really tired. Both teams couldn't serve the ball over if you paid them to, and both teams' offenses were absolutely sizzling because nobody could have blocked the ball or dug a ball. So,
well, when you got it in,
yeah, exactly. So it was unbelievable, that opening set. Now, was it exciting? Absolutely, but. It was too close for comfort. We actually did control the entire first set, believe it or not, even though that score doesn't indicate it. Yeah. But it was sloppy play. The second set, however,
I don't think Ohio State had a set point in that set, even though it was 34-32.
They had two.
A couple
they had
early.
two.
Okay.
And we were able to stave them off. We had 8. It took
we had
8
a lot
in order to get above it and win that first set. The second set, we were much crisper, much cleaner. We absolutely destroyed them. Our offense clicked. We actually blocked some balls. We actually played very, very well. And actually, we played very well for at least the first quarter to a third of that third set, and then we kind of let our foot off the gas again. They made a really nice comeback and really put in a charge. But without their stud opposite, who I thought was probably going to be the MVP of our conference, Jake Haynes, at their opposite, he's out now for the entire year. It really shows the difference in caliber from him and everybody else on the team. He's the leader because he brings everybody's play up. And it was a nice 3-set victory for us.
We were really efficient. We hit all of our offensive benchmarks, maybe for the first time this season. Above 50% kill percentage, above 70% side out, and above 300 hitting percentage. So that was really nice. And then moving on to the Friday night match against the McKendree Bearcats, a team that we always have trouble with. A big win for us to go undefeated in conference play. You have to defend your home court if you want to finish in the top 3 or 4 in this conference. And fortunately, we did with a grinding 5-set win against McKendree, 25-21, 23-25, 25-20, 22-25, 15-7. And we talked about that 5th set being the best set of volleyball we've played all year. Pellegrin Vargas with some amazing plays in the backcourt.
Well, this match was a very interesting match because we've always played very, very well with McKendree, and they've usually gone 5 sets. I think they're only
a lot of them have. A
handful that haven't, but and I think the reason for that is actually they match up very well against us, and that match is very, very weird because actually we should have won that match 3-0. To be quite honest with you, we should have won that match. We had the lead in the second set, and we kind of again let the foot off the gas. Notice the repetitive slander there. And then they ended up winning, and then we had to grind it out. The situation in the fifth set was this. I mean, we didn't block a ball. It took us 2+ sets in order to block our first ball. We were outdug. Our offense was mediocre at best, and that's being polite. Putrid is probably a better word. But in the fifth set, something clicked in, beginning with Pellegrin Vargas, because Pellegrin Vargas makes 2 unbelievable defensive plays that instigates our energy, if you will, or just our presence on the volleyball court. And by the way, we won both of those rallies that
big plays,
were amazing.
Big plays by Pellegrin.
And we really, I mean, our offense hit over 500. We sided out at 887. We blocked balls, had a couple service aces. I mean, we were as engaged and or dialed in for a fifth set we've ever been all season long.
And Michael Keegan had his 3,000th assist in that match, so congratulations to him and what he's done for this program. He's meant a lot to us being a 4-year starter. He's been able to accumulate a ton of plays, but just fantastic play by him again to win us that fifth set. And his leadership has been big for us this season. Unfortunately, then we crossed over on Saturday night. We were really, really tired, and you could tell Pellegrin hit negative, Cade Bontrager hit negative. This was a tough night for us coming off our 5th match in 8 days, and unfortunately lost in 3 against Mason. So talk about that match and maybe what we could have done better.
Well, being tired, which is a truism, but it's also an excuse. And it's also bad coaching on my part because I should have rested our starters. And I give credit to George Mason. I mean, they played absolutely phenomenal volleyball. They were fresh. I said Mason.
Mason, yeah, I screwed that one up earlier. We cut it out with the T's. We can't cut that one out there.
George Mason. I said Mason. It was with a French accent. And they were fresh. Their opposite, Wagner, was unbelievable. We just could never get going. I mean, our legs were gone. We couldn't serve the ball. Our offense, in terms of attacking, wasn't really good, and our mind wasn't there. And when you're physically tired, you better have the mental capability of overcoming that. We're not there yet, across the board.
Yeah.
And so that was a struggle. I was really happy, though, with our backup unit that went in and played. They played absolutely inspired third set volleyball. In fact, a lot of people came up to me after the contest and said, that is as exciting a set, even though you lost, as we've had all year for a home crowd. But that's just a tough match to play when you've played 7 matches in 3 weeks from West Coast to East Coast to the Midwest.
Yeah, and let's just talk about the good things here. Pellegrin Vargas.
Were there any?
Yeah, there were good things.
Okay.
For the champions of the week, Pellegrin Vargas had a fantastic night against Ohio State. 15 kills, but more importantly, hit 500, 5 blocks. It's a skill he's been working on a lot, and when he can block the ball and kill the ball at a 500%, we're just going to be unstoppable. He's an impressive player. And then Cade Bontrager, 15 kills as well, only hitting 250 in that match against McKendree, but came up with 8 digs, something that we really, really needed to be efficient at that week. So congratulations to Pellegrin and Cade. Our outsides run our offense.
Well, what's so interesting about Cade in particular, because he did hit about 250 or so in that match, his kill percentage, though, is over 50%. It's a statistic that I've talked about with our team about it. He had 15 kills on like 29 swings, 28 swings. And if you can do that, doesn't matter what your hitting percentage is, even though everybody wants it to be higher, the kill percentage is what's really important because you're putting the ball away half the time, or at least more than half the time when you get set, and that is the statistic that really shows up for Cade.
He's brought something to our offense in terms of his ability to kill the ball at a little bit higher rate. That's really helped us out this week and over that Harvard match as well. Let's take a quick look before we head out for the break at the standings so far, or the standings, the ABCA poll, and the Dons still in it, hanging in at 15, even with that loss to George Mason. A really, really nice win against Ohio State and a really nice conference win against McKendree keeps us in.
It's too bad Ohio State wasn't ranked. I mean, they were receiving votes, but I think they were 16th technically. But it's nice to be amongst the top 15 teams in the country. I mean, there's some unbelievable teams. Long Beach State and Hawaii are still undefeated on the season. But, you know, we're getting into the nitty-gritty now with Loyola, Lewis, and Ball State in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about this volleyball team. We've beaten every team that's been unranked, so we're taking care of our business there. We just got to find a way to get a ranked win. I think we're 0-5 against ranked teams, 8-0 against unranked teams. So if we can turn that corner and beat one of those good volleyball teams, get that monkey off our back, we're going to be okay. So coming up after the break, we'll chat with Austin Neese about his time here as a Mastodon. See you soon.
Together, we can change the news. Find out how at safekids.org.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, pet them, care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture, you can jump, yell, you can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that. But you can adopt one. 'Cause we're connected.
Welcome back, everybody, to VolleyDons Weekly. With me now, we have Austin Neese, senior outside hitter from Naperville, Illinois. How are you doing, Austin?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. We had your little nieces and nephews in for the second time this season, running around, having some fun.
Yep.
Telling them to prank me while we're at our meal at Pizza Hut. That was fantastic.
You know, I was thinking of having them go up to Arnie Ball, but
I'm not sure if that one's going
it
to
could have
work out.
went two separate ways. You know, he could have thought it was funny, or he could have been like, "What the heck is going on here?"
Coach does love little kids, though. You
Yeah.
know that. So he probably would have been like
Yeah, I
eaten
think
that
he
one
would've
alive.
liked it.
And Sandy would have loved it too. Oh, who are these people? Who are these little people? They probably would have loved it. But probably maybe a good decision to not do that, just in case he was in a bad mood for some reason.
Jada will appreciate it. I'll have
I like caught him, and then he got all like, oh, he freaked out a little bit. So thoughts from the weekend, Austin. 2-0 conference start. I can't remember the last time we've done that, especially against two quality opponents in McKendree and Ohio State.
I don't think we've done that since I've been here. And it's great to start off 2-0 in the conference, in the lead of the conference right now. And the good thing is our one loss that came this week was non-conference. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a humongous loss for us.
Yeah, I think something that we've talked about a lot is one of our big goals for this volleyball team is to host a MIVA conference tournament match. And we're on our way to doing that. You got to make sure you beat one of those top 4 teams to try to get into the top 4, and we did that with Ohio State. We got to take care of your business against McKendree, who's a really, really good volleyball team, by the way. They're much better than maybe people thought beginning of the year. So a 2-0 conference start on your home floor, and we get to go to your home area in the Chicagoland area and get to play the other 2 teams that are 2-0 in Lewis and Loyola. So talk maybe about going back home and how important that is for you to play back in front of family.
Yeah, I love going back there. Usually we have a lot of my family that does come, and those are 2 huge games for us this season. And they're against really good opponents, really big opponents. Yeah. And I think that going there, we really have to just play our best and play hard because we do have the talent to beat those teams. It's just, how much do we want it?
What does, the first time this group of players, you're a senior, beating Ohio State, what does that mean to you guys?
Everything. I mean, it gets frustrating losing to those same 4 teams over and over again. And I think breaking through and beating that first one, I think it's going to change how our season goes because now we know we can beat those teams that are atop the conference. And we should have more confidence going in to play the other teams that are atop the conference.
Yeah, I think Michael Keegan said it best when I talked to him after the match, and he was smiling to ear, and he goes, man, I just feel like we've got that big monkey off our back, like a weight has been lifted, that we can go out, we can play with some confidence against these guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
This group has been together, the senior group, the junior group now for a long time, and going through that maybe not fun year of 5-23 to last year at 18-11 to now a 2-0 conference start. What do you think has changed with this group and has made us capable of winning these matches?
Well, as cruddy as winning 5 games in a season is, I think we learned a lot from that season. I think it helped us want to work way harder to get better too. Like, I think if we would have done okay that season, like maybe like a 12-win season, I don't think that we would have gotten to the point we are now, because after that season, everyone was pissed and they went out and they worked hard to get better and to learn how to win. Yeah. So I think that's one big thing that has changed. We've become more of winners on the court rather than just going out and playing, I guess.
I think it takes a while to learn how to win at this level, and I think that's something that you guys have figured out now, what kind of work it takes outside of the gym to win at this level, and then what kind of work it takes on the court in the moment to win at this level. And that's kind of the monkey off your back moment. I think we finally found that against Ohio State. Talk a little bit about kind of your background this season. Earlier in your career, you started a bunch of matches and played in the left, and now as you've gotten older, you've kind of been a serving sub a lot for us this year, and that transition isn't always fun, if you will, but it's something that this team needs to be successful. So talk a little bit about that serving sub role and what you can do for our team in that role.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you can't jump, you can't play outside that well, so that has a lot to do with it. But I think that, I mean, I love the role of serving sub because you get to come in and people aren't expecting anything from you, especially the other team. Yeah. And you get to kind of show them up if you do well, which is pretty cool. But I think it just takes buying into your role, and that's what our team has done really well. Nobody's getting mad at somebody else because they're on the court, and no one's taking it personally. It's like, let's work hard at practice. When it comes to the game, our roles are our roles, and we're going to take advantage of them. Like with Dickman, whenever he comes off the bench, he does super well. He's not on the bench sulking in like, oh, I'm on the bench. He's cheering for the other guys, and then when he gets put in, Colton cheers for him, and they both do well. It's really cool to see.
I think that's a big thing for this group on the bench, and we have a lot of experienced guys on the bench this year who can go in, you included, to make a difference immediately, and they understand that they're there to help the team out at any moment's notice, and we've done a good job, and that Mason set's a good example of that. I think you guys came out with some really good energy, and we have a lot of energy in that group down there as well, with you and Troy and Dickman. Talk about that group just in general.
Well, I mean, it was fun I think that's the first time we've all been playing together, maybe earlier this season against a not as good opponent, but there's just so much energy on that court, and I mean, when there's energy, the game's always fun. Yeah. And even though we didn't get the outcome that we would have liked, it was still fun being out there with those guys.
And we were right there. I think we were up 21-20. Like, we were right there at the end of that set. We had a chance, just couldn't take advantage. So, you know, having your guys off the bench come in and play the 13th ranked team in the nation to a set where we could have won and maybe made a different match would have been, you know, we were right there with them. I thought we had a chance. Finishing up, let's talk a little bit about why Purdue-Fort Wayne and why a business degree. Why did you choose those two things?
Well, originally when I was thinking about coming to school here, I was thinking either engineering or business, and it was the IPFW at the time. So I was like, okay, if I go business, I get the Indiana degree, which I still do. Mm-hmm. And if I go engineering, I get the Purdue degree. So it's two great degrees, probably the best that I could get with playing volleyball. Yeah. And then I came to the campus. I loved it. I had known you and Rock a little bit before visiting, so I mean, it was just kind of the perfect fit.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the IU and the Purdue fit, I think for business and engineering is something that's been really important for us in the recruiting trail, and obviously with that Purdue name still in engineering, in science it's still a big deal, so something that we can definitely recruit to and people want to come to. So thank you to Austin East for joining us, and we'll welcome head coach Ryan Rock-Parat back for the next segment.
This is where ambition meets action, where you can experience everything and become anything. So ask yourself, what are you going to be?
A business leader.
An artist.
A scientist.
A difference maker.
A game changer.
This is an education with purpose. We are Purdue University, Fort Wayne.
I just walked by and I said, what's happening, guys? And they told me they were making music.
It's the way you walk, it's the way you talk. I like this music.
They said I could play, so any chance to play at all. You know, that's my life. I love music.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Welcome back, everybody, to VolleyDons Weekly. With me now, we have head coach Ryan Rock Perrott to preview our upcoming matches this week, as well as talk a little bit about Austin Neese in his 4 years here in his career here. So there you go, a little intro for you. Talk about Austin Neese and what he's meant for this program. You know, started for a bunch of matches early on and has transitioned a little bit to a serving sub type off the bench player who makes a lot of plays for us.
Well, his second season, he had to play a lot due to the injuries of Pelican Vargas and Tony Price.
In that first season, he played a lot too, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it so long ago. But I know he has played a lot, and he's really accepted his role of coming off the bench and being a serving sub for us, which is really crucial. And in fact, he played, again, really, really well against George Mason.
He did play very well against George Mason.
He's a loosey-goosey kid, and he really exuberates that to our guys. And he's happy-go-lucky. He's a good student. He's going to go on and be very, very successful on Wall Street or the finance district of Chicago. So we're really, really pleased with where he's come, from where he started to where he's come. I remember when I coached him at a USA volleyball camp in Colorado Springs. That was the first time I saw him. And he's got such a great arm. And he's got a really good knack for volleyball. So
yeah,
he's been a wonderful addition to our program, and he's an instrumental part of our serving strategy.
He's been really, really mature his 4 years here, and to, I don't want to say accept the role, because you never want to just be a serving sub. You want to be the guy who's playing. You want to be the guy who makes plays. And to his credit, he goes out and practice every single day and swings high hands and hard to try to score and challenges our guys in our block every single day to get better. But he's really done a lot in terms of being mature about it and going out and controlling the things he can control in practices, in matches to make a difference. So he's meant a lot to our program and has won a couple sets for us this year, I think, with his serve and scoring some points back there in the baseline. Just a crucial role that doesn't get talked about enough, going back and serving and digging some volleyballs. Says the guy who did it for a long period of time in his career. Maybe a little selfish on that one. Okay, we play Loyola on Friday, Coach Rock. 9-3 in the season, 2-0 in MIVA play. Both of these teams are undefeated in MIVA conference play, as Austin Neese talked about. So we're still playing for first place. That McKendree match, they were 1-0. We were 1-0. Got through that one. Now we still get to play for first place here with the next two undefeated teams in conference play.
Yeah, and they're the two best teams in our conference. Loyola is the best team. Lewis is the second best team as far as I'm concerned. They're physical. Their serving and passing game is phenomenal. Their side-out game is premium, and they're going to be really difficult to handle, especially at home. Now, traditionally, we've always played well in the Chicago area, which is actually good for us. But there are a lot of obstacles to overcome with these matches. And the first with Loyola has to do with the fact that, as far as I'm concerned, their quick Mick attack is so devastating, and you know it's coming.
Yeah, you just can't do anything about it.
And you can't do anything about it, and
except
you know it's coming. Exactly. So I think our strategy going into that match has got to be, you've got to learn to keep it close, construct points very, very well, be a very good target server, and get a few balls here and there in transition.
Yeah, we're on a 12-match losing streak, unfortunately, to Loyola. We went 5 to them at home last year. Should have broken it. Just couldn't get over that hump.
Should have won.
They've lost future Olympian Jeff Jendrick, so that's a positive for our volleyball team, not having to slow him down anymore. But as you said, Bick, more Bick over the top of that middle, the quick back row attack, and it goes to the preseason player of the year, Colin Mahan, in the conference. So he's obviously a devastatingly good offensive player, and they have a new opposite, freshman left-handed, Luke Denton, who does some really good stuff out there. They swept Lindenwood and Quincy, so they're coming in hot and ready to go in that Friday night match. So next we take on the Lewis University Flyers, 9-4 on the season, 2-0 in MIVA play as well. Unfortunately, a 10-match losing streak dating back to, again, the last time we beat Lewis was J.W. Keycaver senior year. Look at that, another good thing. But we're looking for another win against them. We've been really close against them in the past as well, going 5 a couple of times with them. Unfortunately, needed to break that 10-match losing streak. We'll see what we can do.
Well, that team that you were on must have been really good.
We had a pretty good volleyball team back then, huh?
We're beating all these teams. Actually, Lindenwood went 4 with Loyola, so it actually gives us hope. Lindenwood won their first set against Loyola. They didn't sweep them. But Lewis is really difficult to beat at home. Lewis might be the best home team in our conference, even better than Ball State. they use their fans to their advantage, and they have arguably the second best fans in our conference, next to ours, of course. Talent on that team.
Yeah.
I think they have arguably the best setter in our conference. I think they arguably have the best pin player in our conference. And I think they arguably have the biggest middle in our conference, the 7-foot guy. So,
I do think he's the biggest middle.
Yeah,
for sure.
I didn't say that. I just said the biggest middle. They pose and they arguably have the best libero with Simmons.
Yeah, they have 5 preseason preseason MIVA all team players,
Yeah.
all MIVA players.
And that's not a knack against
5
ourselves
of their
or
7
anybody
starters
else.
are all MIVA players.
That's not a knack against ourselves or anybody. But that team is loaded with talent, is Lewis. So these are big matches that actually we're playing with house money, to be quite honest with you, because of the fact that they're at home. It's very difficult to win on the road. That's what we need to try and steal one. This is like the World Series or maybe the NHL playoffs. You got to try and steal one on your opponent's home floor. That's what we're going to try and do this week.
For sure, that's kind of the goal. You can go 1-1 out there. Obviously, the goal is to go 2-0 and win them both and stay in first place. But you can get 1 win out there. You're riding high with a 3-1 record, having just gone out to Lewis and Loyola. You don't have to play those matches ever again, and you're looking pretty good. But besides just their skill, you mentioned it a little bit. Their size is incredible. Both middles over 6'9". The one kid's close to 7 feet. Ryan Coonan, the left side's close to 6'9". He's a big kid. So not only is it good volleyball talent, but the size is something that we don't match up well against, and that's what's given us, I think, issues in the past with Lewis.
Yes.
Is just we just don't match up well with their size. We have to find ways to play better against that and do some different things defensively in the backcourt maybe to help us out.
When you don't have the physicality and the size, that means your ball skills have got to be at a premium.
That much better than the opponent.
It has to be. The reason why, for those of you that have followed volleyball for decades upon decades, the reason why St. John Smith, who's my volleyball idol, and Karch Karai, who's my second volleyball idol, are the greatest volleyball players ever was because they didn't have the size.
Yeah.
But their ball skills were, it's almost perfection, to be quite honest with you. That's what we need to do against these two teams. Our ball skills have got to be.
Well, thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you to Austin East for joining us, and thank you to head coach Ryan Rock
We're done.
for giving us his wisdom.
We're done.
Once again, we play Loyola at 8 p.m. Eastern on Friday, 2/15, February 15th, and then Lewis, 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, February 16th. So tune in for those games. Viewing information is on GoMacedons.com, and we'll see y'all next week.